Awaken Light Audio. Awaken your mind, ignite your light.
Let them miss you and watch everything change. Master the art of self-respect. What if your presence isn't truly felt until you step away? What if becoming unforgettable doesn't require more effort, just more distance? What if the real power isn't in being constantly available, but in being wisely absent? You were never meant to beg for belonging. There comes a moment in your evolution when you stop striding to be noticed, stop stretching to be included, stop shrinking just to stay loved, not because you gave up on people, but because you remembered who you are, because something deep within you whispered. You were never meant to beg for belonging. You were meant to embody it. You've been taught to show up more, give more, prove more, to keep being available, keep explaining, keep fixing, and in the process, you traded your peace for presence, your worth for attention, your self-respect for approval. But now you're about to flip the script, because true of you isn't declared, it's felt in your absence. The paradox of presence. The more available you are, the more people forget you have limits. The more you say yes, the more they expect you to. Never say no. We think showing up constantly proves love. We think being accessible makes us irreplaceable. But the opposite is true. The people who never pause are the easiest to take for granted. If you want to be remembered, stop showing up where you're forgotten. If you want to be respected, learn to walk away when you're unseen. Silence is not weakness. Distance is not coldness. They are the most eloquent languages of self-respect. Them miss you is not manipulation. It's maturity. This isn't about playing games. It's about growing up emotionally. When you step back, you don't do it to hurt them. You do it to heal yourself. You give them space not to punish, but to protect. What you've neglected, your time, your energy, your standards, your peace, you don't disappear to get attention. You disappear to remember you deserve better. And in that stillness, a new version of you is born. One who doesn't chase, one who doesn't beg, one who doesn't explain their worth, because you are no longer accessible to what diminishes you. Let this be your turning point. This is your awakening. This is the chapter where you rewrite the story. You will no longer measure your value by how many people choose you. You will measure it by how deeply you choose yourself. Let them wonder. Let them sit with your silence. Let them feel your absence like a mirror reflecting their mistakes. But most importantly, let this be the moment you feel your presence so strongly that you never betray it again. Take a deep breath, straighten your spine, and prepare to walk into a life built not on noise, but on undeniable self-respect. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Power of Absence. Why stepping back changes everything. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is to walk away in silence. Why constant access breeds disrespect. Have you ever noticed how people treat what's always available? The text you reply to in seconds becomes the one they take hours to answer. The favor you offer without asking becomes something they demand. The love you give unconditionally becomes the comfort they stop earning. We've been tricked into thinking that the more present we are, the more appreciated we'll be. But in reality, overexposure leads to underappreciation. You become background noise in someone else's life. A given, not a gift. A routine, not a revelation. And slowly, without realizing it, your value in their eyes begins to fade. Absence creates space for recognition. When you're always available, you're invisible. But when you step back, not in anger, not in bitterness, but with quiet clarity, you create something powerful. Contrast. You give people the opportunity to notice the space you once filled, to feel the silence where your voice used to be, to sense the emotional void. Your presence had been sustaining, and in that space, a truth begins to surface. They weren't just used to you. They were dependent on you, but too distracted to realize it. Absence interrupts the pattern. It breaks the autopilot. It rewires perception. And most importantly, it lets you observe with fresh eyes who truly values you and who simply used your presence as a convenience. Stepping back isn't rejection. It's redirection. You're not walking away from them. You're walking back toward yourself. You're not punishing, you're protecting. You're not creating distance to wound, you're creating space to heal. When you stop showing up for people who've grown numb to your presence, you create the possibility for real connection to return, or for closure to step in. Either way, you win, because the outcome isn't them missing you, it's you remembering you. Ask yourself, where in my life am I being present out of fear, not love? Who has become numb to my consistency? What would stepping back teach me about what truly matters? You're not disappearing, you're distinguishing. Yourself, you're not cutting ties, you're clearing space. Absence doesn't make you forgotten, it makes you clearer. The first practice today, the presence audit today. Take 10 quiet minutes and do this. Make a list of the top 5 people or spaces you give your time to. For each, ask, do I feel more valued or more drained? After showing up here, circle one name or space where you know your presence has been overused. Then commit to this for the next 7 days. I will gently step back, not to punish, but to protect my peace. Observe how it shifts the energy. Watch what returns when you stop overgiving. Whisper to yourself, my absence is not rejection. It's a realignment with what honors me. Now that you've remembered the value of your absence, it's time to look at something even more sacred. Your time dot. Because if absence is power, then where you invest your hours is the truest declaration of what you believe you're worth. Let's talk about the currency you can never earn back. Chapter 2. Time is power. Start treating it that way. If you don't value your time, no one else will. If you give it away too freely, they'll take your soul with it. The hidden currency we all waste. Think about it. You wouldn't leave your wallet open in the street. You wouldn't hand out $100 bills to people who ignore your calls, yet every day you give your most priceless currency, your time, to people, distractions, and habits that don't even notice it. You show up for people who don't show up for you. You invest hours in conversations that go nowhere. You scroll endlessly, listen passively, attend events out of guilt and wonder why your soul feels bankrupt. But time doesn't lie. It's the most honest reflection of what you prioritize. If your calendar doesn't reflect your worth, your life won't either. Time management is self-respect management. You can't separate how you use your time from how you view your value, because when you guard your time, you're saying, I matter. My energy is sacred. I'm not here to please everyone. I'm here to honor my mission. Time management isn't just about productivity. It's about dignity. It's about asking, is this hour moving me toward who I want to become? And if the answer is no, then what are you doing there? Say no without explaining. Let this liberate you. You do not owe people your time. Not everyone deserves access to your schedule. You can say, I'm not available right now. I'm focusing inward. That doesn't align with where I'm headed. Without guilt, without drama, without over-explaining, because people who respect you will respect your boundaries. People who don't, we're never honoring your value to begin with. Ask yourself, where is my time being drained, and why have I allowed it? If I tracked my hours like money, what would I stop spending on immediately? Who gains access to me by default, and who has truly earned it? You only get so many days, so many mornings, so many deep conversations, so many golden chances to become who you were meant to be. Are you letting them slip, or are you choosing with intention? The second practice, the time audit reset. Do this tonight. Review the last 3 days of your schedule for each block of time. Ask, was this life-giving or life-draining? Did it reflect my values or my fear of saying no? Choose one daily habit or interaction to cut or reduce. Then write this sentence and keep it somewhere visible. My time is my boundary. My time is my power. Talk to yourself. I am no longer available for what drains me. I spend my time like it matters because it does. You've remembered the weight of your time. You've started saying no to what drains you. But there's one more step on the path of self-respect. You must build boundaries, not just to protect yourself, but to teach the world how to treat you. Let's talk about the invisible lines that change everything. Chapter 3. Boundaries are self-respect in action. Every time you say yes to what violates your peace, no boundaries equals no self. You can't fully know yourself until you know where you end and where others begin. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are filters to protect what's sacred within you. They are not selfish. They are self-honoring. Yet too many of us fear setting them. Why? Because we've been taught that being good means being available. Being kind means being agreeable. Being loved means being endlessly accommodating. But here's the truth. No one told you if you have to lose yourself to keep someone, they were never meant to stay. The silent damage of boundary violations, it doesn't always show up as screaming. It shows up in exhaustion, in resentment, in constantly re-explaining the same needs, only to be ignored in staying quiet to keep the peace while a war rages inside your soul. Every time you say yes when you mean no, a small part of you disappears, and eventually, they're about clarity. Setting boundaries isn't about forcing others to behave. It's about declaring, this is where I stand. This is what I allow. This is how I love, including myself. You don't need to be angry. You don't need to be harsh. You just need to be clear, because clarity is kindness to you and to them. Ask yourself, where have I been tolerating what I would never advise my best friend to accept? What belief tells me that protecting my peace is wrong? Who in my life repeatedly crosses lines, and why do I keep redrawing them instead of enforcing them? The boundary declaration. Write down one area in your life where you know your boundaries are too loose. Maybe a person who always takes, never gives. A situation where you feel guilted into saying yes, a recurring drain on your time, energy. Say it aloud. Say it often. Let it rewire your sense of power. Remind yourself, boundaries aren't punishments. Now that you've learned the strength of a well-drawn boundary, let's explore the next layer of quiet power. The kind of power that doesn't shout, doesn't explain, doesn't defend. It simply goes silent and lets the silence speak everything. Chapter 4. Silence is a statement. Let your stillness speak. You don't have to raise your voice to raise your standards. Silence is misunderstood, but never weak. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, for avoidance, for surrender. But in reality, silence is often the loudest scream of self-respect. It says, I'm done arguing over my worth. I no longer explain what should be obvious. My peace is more valuable than your opinion. In a world addicted to noise, to proving, persuading, performing, silence is a radical act of sovereignty. Why silence is sometimes the strongest? Answer: you don't owe everyone a response. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain why you're stepping back. You don't have to react. Just because someone is provoking you, when you master your silence, you master your energy. And when you master your energy, you master your life. Responding is easy, restraining is power. When you go quiet, you let truth echo. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've cared too much, for too long, and now you're choosing something higher. Clarity, peace, reclamation. Let people wonder. Let them sit with what they said. Let them feel the weight of your absence, not because you're cruel, but because your presence is no longer free. And in that stillness, they might finally hear what your words could never teach. Ask yourself, where am I still explaining myself just to be accepted? Who keeps pulling? me into conversations that only drain me? What would happen if I responded with silence instead of self-betrayal? You are allowed to leave texts unanswered. You are allowed to sit with your thoughts. Before replying, you are allowed to choose peace over proving. Silence is not withdrawal. It is wisdom in motion. The next practice, the 24-hour pause, the next time you're triggered, misunderstood, or disrespected. Pause for 24 hours before responding. Ask yourself, will this conversation lead to healing or repeat a pattern? Is my reply rooted in peace or in needing validation? If the answer is unclear, choose silence. Let the power of that pause remind you, my energy is not reactive, it is intentional. Tell yourself, I don't raise my voice anymore. I raise my standards and let my silence echo them. Now that you've reclaimed your voice by choosing silence, it's time to reclaim something even deeper, your energy. Because no matter how clear your boundaries are or how powerful your silence becomes, if you're still pouring yourself into what empties you, you'll never truly rise. Let's talk about energetic sovereignty. Chapter 5. Reclaiming your energy. Stop giving it all away. You are not tired because you do too much. You are tired because you give too much to the wrong things. The invisible leaks draining you. You wake up tired, even after a full night's sleep. You sit in silence, yet your mind races like a storm. You're resting, but somehow still exhausted. Why? Because your energy isn't just drained by effort, it's drained by access. The phone call you didn't want to take. The people who take, but never pour back. The endless mental rehearsals of conversations that never happened. The invisible pressure. To be liked, to be perfect, to keep everyone happy. It all leaks from one place. Your unprotected energy field. Energy goes where attention flows. Every thought is an investment. Every emotion is a transaction. Every yes is a contract of your time and energy. You don't just give energy to people. You give it to ideas, memories, fears, comparisons, and like a leaky faucet, your power drips away drop by drop until you're left with nothing for yourself. You cannot become who you're meant to be while feeding everything that keeps you small. Protect your field like a fortress. Energetic sovereignty means this. Not every conversation deserves a reply. Not every conflict needs your reaction. Not every opportunity is worth your energy. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to fix everyone. You don't have to keep overextending just to be perceived as strong. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is pull all of your energy back into yourself to reclaim your attention, your emotional currency, your focus. Ask yourself, where am I feeling drained most consistently? What habits or people pull my focus away? From peace? When was the last time I gave energy to something that actually gave back? You deserve to be fueled. You deserve to feel full. And most importantly, you deserve to protect your energy as fiercely as your life. Because it is your life. One more practice, the energy recall ritual. Tonight before bed, whisper this, I call all of my energy back to me. Then close your eyes and imagine every place you left energy today. Old conversations, texts, worries, self-doubt, people-pleasing. Now returning to you like streams of light. Say again, I am whole, I am centered, I am home. Let it be your new habit. Let it be your energetic shield. Whisper to yourself, my energy is my currency. I spend it where I am valued. Now that you've reclaimed your energy, there's one final truth to confront, one that can quietly sabotage even your best boundaries and purest intentions, attachment. Because sometimes it's not just people or habits we need to walk away from. It's the emotional chains we still carry long after the moment is gone. Let's step into the next transformation. Chapter 6. The shift. From being chosen to choosing yourself. The moment you stop waiting to be chosen is the moment you become unstoppable. We were raised to wait for permission. From childhood, we're conditioned to seek validation. Approve me, see me, choose me. Whether it's teachers, parents, lovers, employers, we learn to equate being chosen with being worthy, so we bend ourselves to fit expectations, dim our truth to be liked, stay in rooms where we're only tolerated, not celebrated. But here's the unspoken truth. If someone has to choose you, it means you've given them power you should own. Being chosen is a trap if you don't first choose yourself. What happens when you're not picked? Not called back, not promoted, not loved the way you hoped. You begin to question your value, not because it changed, but because you outsourced it. You placed your sense of worth in someone else's hands, and forgot that the most powerful love is the one you give yourself. You can't beg for what should be your birthright. You can't keep shrinking just to be accepted by people who never truly saw you. Choosing yourself changes everything. The moment you choose yourself, your energy shifts. You stop asking, "Am I enough?" You start declaring, "I am already enough." You stop chasing seats at tables that don't respect you. You build your own table and invite only those who honor your presence. Choosing yourself isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's no longer saying, "I hope they pick me," but instead, "I trust myself to walk away if they don't." Ask yourself, where am I still waiting to be picked? Who am I shrinking for, and why? What would change in my life if I saw myself as the prize, not the applicant? You weren't born to be tolerated. You were born to choose your direction, not just be chosen as someone's option. Another practice, the power decision. Write this down. I am no longer waiting for permission to feel worthy. 1. Choose myself, boldly, fully, and without apology. Then speak it aloud. Let your voice vibrate with truth. Let this become your new center of gravity. No one else's acceptance can replace the power of your own decision. Talk to yourself. I am the one I've been waiting for. Waiting, now that you've stopped waiting to be chosen, it's time to release the final chain of external validation, the need to prove your worth, because true self-respect isn't about proving, it's about embodying. Let's step into that next level. Chapter 7. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. The moment you stop performing for validation, you start living in freedom. The performance trap, how much of your life has been a performance? Smiling when you're breaking, achieving to feel seen, pleasing to feel loved, agreeing to avoid. Rejection, you dress up your pain in productivity. You hide your insecurities behind ambition. You think, if I just work harder, love more, give more, maybe then I'll be enough. But here's the truth. You're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you've spent your whole life trying to earn what was already yours. Self-worth isn't something you prove. It's something you remember. You were born worthy before the praise, before the grades, before the applause. Your value isn't in how much you do, but in who you are without effort. When you seek to prove your worth, you operate from fear. Fear that without the trophy, without the title, without the love, you're not enough. But guess what? You don't owe anyone a resume of your soul. Why proving yourself always backfires? The more you try to prove, the more you disconnect from yourself. You chase approval and lose your authenticity. You overextend and feel unappreciated. You give too much and feel invisible because proving says, I don't trust that just being me is enough. And that's a wound that no success can fix. Walk like you already belong. Imagine walking into every room, not wondering if you're good enough, but knowing, I belong here because I bring me. You don't have to speak louder, wear more, do more. You just have to stand in the quiet confidence that says, I am not for everyone, and I'm not supposed to be. Let that set you free. Ask yourself, where in my life am I still trying to prove I'm good enough? What would change if I let go of that need today? True, peace comes not from achievement, but from self-permission to exist fully. Flaws and all, the next practice, the enough list. Write a list of 10 reasons why you are enough, without any external achievement. Example, I care deeply. I show up even when it's hard. I heal. I grow. I keep going. I love without needing perfection. End with this affirmation. I am enough because I am, and that's all I ever needed to be. Read it, feel it, live it. Remind yourself I'm not a project to fix. I'm a presence to honor. Now that you've stopped performing for others, let's move into a powerful shift in how you relate to others. You no longer need to be liked by everyone. You only need to like who you are when you're being real. It's time to choose authenticity over approval. Chapter 8. Authenticity over approval. Let go of the need to be liked. If being liked means being less of myself, then I choose to be disliked. The addiction to being liked. From childhood, we're taught to be good, to be nice, to be liked. We learn early that approval means acceptance, and so we shape-shift. We silence our opinions to avoid conflict. We hide our weird, our wild, our truth just to fit in. We trade our authenticity for applause. But what happens? We get exhausted. Because performing who we think people want us to be costs more than anyone ever told us. Every time you betray who you are to be liked, you tell your soul, you don't matter. Being liked is not the same as being loved. People may like your mask, but they can't love your truth. If you never show it, you may win temporary approval, but lose permanent connection with yourself. Ask yourself, are you being liked for who you are, or for how well you please? Do they love you, or just the version of you that makes them comfortable? There's no peace in being liked by everyone, but there's deep freedom in being loved by the few who see you. Truly, authenticity is magnetic. The paradox is, when you stop trying to be liked, you become more respected. Why? Because authenticity is rare, because your truth is bold, because people trust what's real. You don't need mass approval, you need personal alignment. You weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to be true to yourself. Ask yourself, where in my life am I still editing myself to be accepted? What would it feel like to say what I truly think, without apology? Who am I afraid to disappoint, and why do they hold that power? Every time you express yourself fully, you reclaim a piece of your soul. Every time you stop explaining your worth, you deepen your peace. Another practice, the unapologetic truth. Exercise. Write down one truth about yourself you've been hiding. A boundary you haven't enforced. A dream you're scared to admit. A belief you suppress around certain people. Now speak it aloud. Then say, this is me. I don't need you to like it. I need me to live it. Repeat until your voice no longer trembles. Tell yourself, I'd rather be real and alone than liked and lost. Now that you've chosen authenticity, you've reclaimed your voice, your time, your energy. It's time to take one of the most radical acts of self-respect. Let them feel your absence, without guilt, without bitterness, because true self-worth isn't proven by staying. It's declared by walking away when needed. Chapter 9. Let them feel your absence without bitterness. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is your silence. Why you feel the urge to stay? We're taught to stay. Stay to explain. Stay to be understood. Stay to fix, to prove, to hold on, even when it hurts. You believe that if you just love harder, wait longer, give more, maybe they'll see your worth. But staying in places that drain you doesn't make you loyal. It makes you lost. You don't owe anyone your presence. Where your peace is no longer welcome. The power of leaving quietly. You don't need a dramatic exit. You don't need a final speech. You don't need them to know they hurt you. Sometimes healing happens in private. You just stop replying. You stop over-explaining. You stop hoping they'll change. You walk away, not to punish them, but to protect yourself. You disappear not out of spite, but out of self-honor. Silence isn't bitterness, it's boundaries. When you remove yourself, they'll feel it, not because you shouted, but because your presence was power, and now it's gone. Let them miss the version of you they took for granted. Let your absence remind them of the light they ignored, but don't wait for the apology. Don't cling to the closure sometimes. Your peace is the only closure you'll ever need. Ask yourself, where have I been staying out of guilt, not alignment? What would happen if I left without bitterness, just love for myself? Who am I trying to convince to see me instead of choosing myself? The most sacred boundary isn't saying no, it's walking away without resentment. You can leave with dignity. You can leave with your energy intact. One more practice, the peaceful exit letter. Write this, not to send, but to free yourself. I release the need to be understood. One no longer carry the weight of being accepted. I leave with peace, love, and no desire to return to what diminished me. Then delete it, burn it, or keep it. But let the weight go with it. Tell yourself, my silence is not a punishment. It's a promise to myself. I won't abandon me again. Now that you've walked away with grace, there's a hidden truth waiting for you to embrace. Self-discipline, not the rigid, harsh kind, but the kind that builds quiet confidence from within. Because respect from others starts with how you hold yourself when no one's watching. Let's explore the foundation of inner power. Chapter 10, Self-Discipline. The secret behind quiet confidence: the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who doesn't need to prove anything because they've already proven it to themselves. Why confidence isn't a personality? It's a practice. You don't wake up confident. You build it brick by brick, choice by choice, and the brick that lays the foundation. Self-discipline, not the kind born from pressure, but the kind born from self-respect. Discipline says, I keep my word to myself. I do what matters even when no one's watching. I show up, especially on the hard days. Because the truth is, you cannot feel confident in a body, a mind, a life that you constantly betray. Discipline is the art of inner consistency. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, getting up when the alarm rings, moving your body, choosing silence over reacting, saying no when it's easier to say yes, you're reprogramming your identity, not just to be productive, but to be trustworthy to yourself. And that's where quiet confidence comes from. Confidence grows in the dark, not from achievements people praise, but from the reps no one sees. Waking up early when no one's clapping, writing when no one's reading, healing when no one's comforting, you become magnetic. Not by showing off, but by being so deeply grounded, you don't need to seek outside validation anymore. Discipline is self-love in action. Ask yourself, where in my life am I constantly breaking promises to myself? What story would change if I chose discipline over comfort for the next 7 days? What would it feel like to finally trust myself again? It's not about being perfect, it's about being in alignment. Again and again, the next practice. The microdiscipline plan. Pick one habit that represents the person you want to become. Then do it, daily, for 7 days. No excuses. Example to 5 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of walking. One act of saying no to distractions, then each day, say, I do this because I respect who I'm becoming, not because you have to, because you're worth showing up for. Whisper to yourself, every small promise I keep rewires me to believe I can trust myself again. Now that you've rebuilt that inner trust, it's time to ground yourself even deeper through something often underestimated: gratitude and emotional anchoring, the daily disciplines that keep your heart clear and your energy aligned. Let's enter that space of still power. Chapter 11. When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. The moment you stop chasing is the moment they start noticing. The chase diminishes you. Let's be honest, chasing feels exhausting. Emotionally, energetically, spiritually. You chase people to stay. You chase validation to feel worthy. You chase opportunities to feel important. But every time you chase, you place your power outside yourself. You become a beggar for attention. When you were always meant to be a magnet of presence, why detachment is irresistible. When you no longer need someone to choose you, you become someone they can't ignore. When you stop explaining your worth, you become someone whose value speaks through silence. True magnetism doesn't come from effort, it comes from alignment. Alignment with your values, with your peace, with your self-respect. People feel that. They're drawn to it. You don't attract what you chase. You attract what you embody. From desperation to self-sourcing. You don't need to manipulate, prove, or please. You just need to return to yourself. Heal the wound that made you chase. Love, face the fear that made you cling to attention. Reconnect with the part of you that's always been enough. Because the more whole you are, the less you need others to complete you. And paradoxically, that's what makes you magnetic. Ask yourself, where have I been chasing energy that was never meant for me? What would happen if I stopped proving and started believing? What version of me is possible if I stopped reaching and started returning inward? You don't need to pursue what's already aligned. You just need to stop running from your own power. Another practice, the energy audit. Look at your past 7 days. Ask, where did I feel drained? Who or what did I chase that left me feeling less? Now make a list of 3 people or activities you'll stop chasing. 3 values or boundaries you'll start honoring. Say aloud, I release the chase. I return to my center. I am already enough. Remind yourself, the moment I stop seeking is the moment I start attracting. Now that you've dropped the chase and returned to your center, there's only one truth left to embrace. The one most people spend a lifetime avoiding. You were always enough. From the beginning, exactly as you are. Let's end this journey with the most powerful liberation of all. Chapter 12, The Ultimate Liberation. You are enough, always. You were never too much. You were just never in the right room to be fully seen. The lie you've been told. Since childhood, the world has whispered. Be better, be quieter, be more likable, be someone else. So you edited yourself, shrank yourself, molded yourself into acceptability. And somewhere along the way, you forgot who you were. You started performing instead of existing, proving instead of living, pleasing instead of being. But here's the truth you were never told. You were enough the whole time, not someday, not if you improve, not when they approve. Now, always, deeply, completely. Enough is not complacency. It's wholeness. Being enough doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop suffering for not being more. From this place of enoughness, growth becomes a joy, not a punishment. Boundaries become natural, not forced. Love becomes abundant, not conditional. Because when you know you're already enough, you stop negotiating your worth. You don't need fixing. You need remembering. You were born whole. But you were taught to doubt, conditioned to self-abandon, programmed to outsource your value. But underneath the fear, beneath the roles, beyond the need to be liked, is you. The real you, the enough you, waiting, watching, ready. To rise, healing isn't about becoming someone else. It's about coming home. Ask yourself, what would change if I stopped trying to be enough and just allowed myself to be? What part of me have I exiled in the name of acceptance? What becomes possible when I no longer seek permission to exist as I am? You don't owe anyone your perfection. You only owe yourself your presence. The last practice, the mirror ritual. Each morning, look in the mirror gently. Say, I don't need to earn love today. I am already love. I don't need to prove my worth. I am already worthy. I am enough. always, and say it again tomorrow and the day after until it stops sounding like a mantra and starts feeling like the truth. Etch this into your soul. I was never too broken to begin. I was always whole enough to rise. You've made it. Through boundaries and silence, through detachment and emotional clarity, through stillness, discipline, and deep letting go. But above all, through the return to your center. Let them miss you, but never miss yourself again. Let them feel your absence, but never abandon your own presence. Let the world do what it does. You remain whole. You are no longer seeking approval. You are no longer shrinking. You are no longer proving. You are here, unapologetically, powerfully enough. Now go. Live like it. Lead like it. Love like it.
Thank you for spending this moment with Awaken Light Audio. If something today touched your heart or opened your mind, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. What spoke to you most? Tell us about your journey, your questions. Send it their way, because light grows when it's shared. Until next time, stay present, stay awakened, and keep becoming who you're meant to be.